Welcome back to Mega Man Zero Emergency. Okay, well then, CL kind of figured we'd have time to, wander about the base when we saved and, moved on to a cutscene, but nope, there's just a cutscene and then we immediately come back to this. So not only are we getting a missile, they just shoved Omega onto it for some reason. You might be able to guess considering how Weil's last conversation left off, but, we do need to stop this, whatever's going on. Right, so we're now in our mid-game stage, the Missile Factory. Right, so hey, you wanna know how Weil is gonna get the Dark Elf? He's going to missile a human residential area with Omega inside. We can hope that Omega also explodes in the blast, but I don't think we can be so lucky. So last time we picked up the auto-charge head chip, which is definitely one of my favorites. There's a speed-up one later on, but for regular stages, I really appreciate this one. It's all the way back in Mega Man 8 where I mentioned how, the fact that you could use both the equipped special weapon and your regular buster was really cool, but I was kinda having trouble utilizing both at the same time. At least when it came to charging. And look, I'm old, I'm 31, I'm not actually old, but I have aged enough where I'm not quite as dexterous as I used to be, so, charging two weapons at the same time in Mega Man Zero is not exactly easy for me. Plus, I'm not on original hardware, and I feel like it was easier to get to both the B button and R button at the same time on a Game Boy Advance than it is on a controller, but regardless. Right, so, we're basically just making our way to the missile. I love the progression of this stage, because, well, we just get to actively climb this thing and kinda get a gauge on how big this thing is, but also figure out, how close we are to the end based on our relative location. Also, as a quick note, you might not have noticed, but we've actually been getting 10 secret discs in every stage. You might be wondering why I'm bringing that up now. Well, you see the missiles launching. And as you might imagine, this is one particular stage that's not going to be repeatable. You can go back to the other part of the missile base. The missile itself is kind of a temporary thing. Also, I don't really know if I would call this sneaking in. Nothing stealthy here. We're just going to charge directly inside, shoot everything in our way, avoid the annoying enemies falling from the heavens. And yeah, now the missile's just going to start hemorrhaging pieces as we get closer to the target. Which also means we're on a time limit for this section of the stage. They're gonna try to trip you up by having some dead-end passages here, and some enemies that definitely get in the way with their shield bodies, so if you get left behind, you are dead. No ifs, ands, or buts about that one, so hurry up. Thankfully, it's not too difficult. And again, no secret discs in this part of the stage, so if you found 10 in the previous section, you're golden. So anyway, here's the babies. They're back. And Weil has been telling them things about us. We're getting berated by children. Right, so the babies have battle forms. So yeah, this is definitely one battle you don't want to lose, cause man, of all the characters to taunt you, this is probably the worst set of them. You don't want the baby elves getting one over on you, do you? So yeah, the little sparkles they drop will get stuck on you and impede your movement, but otherwise they're not really that difficult. Yeah, they're gonna clash together, they have, some sparks that come off of that when they do. They also have an attack where they combine into one entity and move around the room. However, it makes them very easy to hit, and they were almost dead anyway, so... Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, they're pretty easy. They're fairly predictable, and honestly learning them, wasn't too difficult. Even a no-hit run against them isn't too bad, just make sure not to get hit by too many sparkles, and once you know what their attacks look like, you'll be fine. Oh god, they understand the concept of stalling. This sucks. Can't believe the babies pulled one over on us. Those awful, awful cyber elf babies. Anyway, mission complete in quotes. We got a perfect score. It doesn't seem like we necessarily succeeded, though. But I mean, I guess we've yet to see the results. Maybe Omega really did explode in a missile. And maybe it just hit a mountainside and it didn't crumble too many things around it, and the threat solved itself. Oh, who am I kidding? That's not what happened. Hey, remember the beginning of Mega Man X4? It's obviously not the exact same situation, but I don't know, something about the ruins of this city make me think that, like, if Zero had the capacity to flash back to his old life, he probably would have at this point. Oh, so you don't like it when I beat up the guy who's been empowered by your mom, but he can just absorb your mom and you're cool with that? You're fine with it? Look, he's gold now. And his theme's playing. But yeah, no, they're fine with their mom being absorbed. Okay, I know Weil's been filling your head with lies, but honestly, I'm really not too keen on you babies. Oh hey, it's Harpuia, making a huge decision. Okay, that is such an easy attack to dodge, Harpuia. I mean, look, this is incredibly cool. Like, it's great to see at least one of the Guardians stand up to something else. Very notably, an entity that's supposedly working in the interests of Neo Arcadia. Like, that's great. I'm glad to see you kind of doing a bit of a face turn. But man, you do need to get better at dodging. That is not a difficult attack. I probably will. In fact, give me like 5 minutes. I'll think about it. Okay, well then. Okay, at least he wasn't hurt very badly. I don't know how good he is at resting, though. Probably not very. Once again, the game wants us to save, because, you know, we've kind of hit an important point. like they don't really care about the safety of humans anymore. So anyway, speaking of characters getting cool moments who don't normally get cool moments... Not him. Copy X still sucks. Well, at least he does acknowledge that she's a doctor. I won the competition, please praise me.
Just give us your CL system. I mean, you were probably going to do a socialism with it, right? You were just going to give it to us anyway, so really, there's no downside. You can trust me. I'm very trustworthy.
Yeah, you know, I don't think I ever appreciated this scene enough when I was a kid. This rules. A fascist is just like, hey, you can definitely trust me. Just hand over your energy system and everything will be fine. And CL just says, nope. I also don't think I ever really understood the gravity of that either. Right, so, Neo Arcadia is mad. Though this was the only smart choice considering they already had their militaries prepared. And even if they weren't going to use them if she said yes, things wouldn't be good if she did. They very clearly weren't going to go over well. But it's really cool to see CL just coming in with the bravery to just say, no, you just murdered a bunch of people. Absolutely not. So anyway, these three guys are familiar. Next time on Mega Man 03, we're still in the mid-game, and we're going to be facing one of three familiar faces. You know, sometimes I really hate fighting a necromancer.